welcome to a new edition of After the Whistle. Wednesday, February 10th, and we are back at it. We got a lot to talk about. Todd is here. I'm here. Let me take my mask off first.
Just want to apologize, man. Tom Brady, I should have believed in you, man. We both TB, so yeah, I shouldn't have went against the grain. So kudos to you getting that 7-ring, brother.
On Saturday, I was like, damn, I should have changed my pick after I seen everything happening with Kansas City. Not only like off the field stuff that was happening with them. So I was like,
you know what's crazy? I only lasted, I think, halftime when I was watching The Weeknd look a fool running through his little mirror maze with the lights.
Like a drunk dude at the club trying to find the bathroom before they puke.
Yeah, but yo, I knew the game was over. Personally, when Kelsey missed that first down, when he just hit his hand and he dropped, I said, "Oh, this game's over." They don't want to win.
Yeah, that was bad. All right, yeah. So we're getting right into the Super Bowl 55. I mean, in what was supposed to be in anticipation of the heir to the throne, dethroning his heir, His Highness. Boy, we were wrong.
I think the whole world was wrong. Let's be honest with you.
They were wrong at how bad of a beating it was. Everybody thought it would be at least a close game. There was. Whew.
I think we were all expecting to have one of those ESPN instant classics with a nice little shootout.
It was a classic for the Bucks.
It definitely was, but for Mahomes to not even score, for him to throw as many touchdowns as he does throughout his seasons that he's been the starting quarterback, for him not to throw one in one of the biggest games of his career, because he already won a Super Bowl, but for him not to throw one Super Bowl, that's just nobody would have thought of that. Nobody would have thought that would happen
at all. And when you start to actually look at everything, if you just look at each roster from top to bottom, the Bucks from top to bottom have a better overall roster than the Chiefs have. It was on both sides of the ball. The Chiefs probably had the 3 best players. Kelsey, Hill, and Mahomes, but these guys from top to bottom, they just had much better players, and they look more prepared.
This kind of reminds me of when I bring it into the basketball world. Kind of remind me of when Spurs beat the Heat.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Yeah. The Chiefs are more like the Heat because they had that star, those superstars.
Yeah.
But then the Bucks got a certified Hall of Famer with multiple rings.
Yeah.
And a solid core.
And if you look at this game plan, I said it. We'll talk about the Bucks defense later on, but I said it. They look like the 0-2 Bucks defense. But at some point in this playoffs, it was just like it came to a point. It seemed like the Bucks defense probably told the offense, "Just get us 14 points and we'll win the game."
Yeah.
And that's what it's like. Once they got a double-digit lead, once they got a big, it was time for the defense to tee off. But you got to give the Bucks offense a whole lot of credit before we talk about the defense, because they were balanced on offense, running the ball, passing the ball. They did a lot of play action. Guys were just running free in the secondary. You had Mike Evans wide open. You had Gronk wide open. Even Cameron Brate, Antonio Brown was catching passes. It was just like And
it's funny you say that, how the Tampa Bay was balanced. Kansas City wasn't balanced at all. For you to have 6.3 yards per rush, and you only rushed it 17 times, well, what are you doing? Yeah. Obviously, it was working, but you just chose to go with your all-pro quarterback, thinking he's going to win you the game, and obviously you didn't relieve any pressure off him, because he was throwing some unbelievable backyard passes for almost touchdowns, but he shouldn't have to do that when you have a solid running game as well.
He was running for his life. That's what he was doing. And the Chiefs just never stuck with the running game. They did not at all. I think their first 2 series, They did a little bit, but then, once the Bucks started scoring, it was like they started getting away from it. And it wasn't like the game was too out of hand, because they still had chances to continue to run the ball, because Edwards-Helaire, when he got it, he did some stuff with it. My thing was, there was so many missed opportunities for the Chiefs. That goal line stands they had. And then you just said it, Kelsey in that the following possession, when they had it, he drops that 3rd down pass, and it hit him right in the hands, and he never drops it. And it's like, and then you have Gronk just reminding everybody who actually is the top dog at the tight end position, because I think so many people talk about Kelsey and Kittle and all. Everybody kind of forgot about Gronk just because he's not putting up the numbers, and he was using more as like a blocker for Tampa, but And he kind of reminded everybody, listen, I'm still the best tight end that y'all ever seen. So there was so many things going on.
Also, too, Kansas City, I think they might have been too psyched up for the game just because, like, the penalties. For you to have 11 penalties for 120 yards, you basically gave them a touchdown.
Yeah.
Like, you walked them into the end zone.
And they came at the most inopportune time.
Yep.
What was the one on the field goal? Like, they didn't learn from a couple years ago to line up on, like, get your hand behind the line of scrimmage.
And you stressed that for, like, months at a time with the D4?
Yeah, D4.
See, I still remember it.
Yeah. It was just like, they would have been, they did that. They would have been 3 years in a row in the Super Bowl. But once again, this was on a 4th and 5. They made the field goal, but you get offsides. They get the first down. Then they score. Now, you just switch the whole thing by being undisciplined. And people were complaining that the flags and the refs were paid by the Bucs because the Bucs weren't getting it called any. But if you look in this postseason, they've been the least penalized team in this postseason. The Bucs. They did a better job the later part of the season of not committing penalties. Remember that game against Chicago when they had like 5 penalties in a row on one possession, and it seemed like that cut down. And then in this postseason, they weren't really flagged too much.
Hey, you gotta be disciplined if you're trying to win a championship.
Yeah. Definitely, and all their flags resulted into touchdowns. You had the pass interference right before halftime. Another one, he got beat and he tripped the dude up.
Yeah, they are ridiculous.
If
you have a couple, understandable. You have mistakes in the game that's that long, but for you to have 11, you were just giving them opportunities.
Yeah, and what I liked what the Bucs did was Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. They emphasized getting those two guys the ball. Between them, they had 28 carries between them, 16 for Fournette, and Ronald Jones had 12. And in the fourth quarter, it turned into big boy football because they just pretty much were handing the ball. I don't think they threw it that much in the fourth quarter. It was a whole lot of runs.
Excuse me. I fell asleep. I told you.
Oh, yeah,
After I seen the weekend, me and Maddie called it early night. We just couldn't hold up.
Yeah, I don't blame him. But yeah, the game plan offensively and defensively for the Bucs, it was like, it was probably one of the best game plans called in the Super Bowl. Just the way they put this game together, and the Bucs defense, we gotta give those guys a lot of credit because they were hitting. They were hitting.
Well, as we thought they would.
Yeah.
And they were definitely getting to Mahomes as we thought they would, but I just thought Mahomes would have had way more protection. But weren't some guys out too? Some guys might have been injured, so.
They had a stat that said he ran like 438 yards, just running around. That's how
Yeah, that was, yeah.
And it seemed like, he didn't get sacked that much, but, it seemed just like every play he was running for his life. And then some of the passes he made too, they had chances. They had two, I think, that hit the guys in the face. One hit a guy in his hands, and it's just those plays right there. But with the Bucs defense, what we could say is they learned their lesson from 203 yards in the first quarter because they played that cover too, and they made them. The Chiefs weren't being patient. They made them be patient, but they weren't.
Yeah, that's all. That's all announcers were talking about most of the first half.
Yeah.
was about them focusing on Hill, but nobody thought that he was going to do that again.
No.
Just because that's an all generation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Performance. That's not something you see even every 10 or 20 years.
Yeah, and if you're a competitor, you're not gonna let that happen again. Like this ain't happening again.
He just had a great day.
Yeah, and with their defense, this looked like the Patriots versus that team in New York Super Bowl when they just got 4 pressure on 4. That's pretty much what it was. I said that was going to... We talked about it. We said those missing their tackles was going to be key for this game, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad. But I'll say this again. The tackle that replaced Eric Fisher is the same tackle that pretty much gave Von Miller Super Bowl MVP. And I did not know that until they said it during the game. And I'm like, I wish I knew this before because...
Yeah, that's definitely a good stat to know before we start picking winners and losers.
Yeah, and then they hit Mahomes. I think they rushed or hurt him like 29 times, which was a Super Bowl. So like most by defense against a quarterback in the Super Bowl history. At some point, I just started feeling bad for Mahomes because it just the last hit when Ndamukong Suh and I think Shaq Barrett like sandwiched him. I was like, man, geez, Louise, get this guy out of here.
Question though, when did they start keeping these stats? Some of these stats I've never heard of in my life.
Has
it been since the dual quarterback has been in play? Mostly because Troy Aikman wasn't running like that. He was getting touchdowns or getting sacked.
Yeah,
concussions. Like you know what I mean? I just never heard some of these.
Yeah, some of these
LeBron stats.
Yeah, these are like these next gen stats that came around the past like 7 years.
Trying to get somebody some jobs.
Yeah, pretty much. Those people that crunch numbers and do all that stuff is good. And what the Chiefs did, this was big boy football. They just punked them pretty much.
It was Super Bowl championship caliber football. Yeah, you have to bring it to another level in the Super Bowl.
And this guy Devin White, he is a dog. He had 12 tackles. I think he had 3 or 4 of them for losses, and he had the game-sealing interception. There's a good case he could have been named Super Bowl MVP just the way he was playing out there.
If Brady didn't throw 3 touchdowns, he would have been.
Yeah, I think this is one of those Super Bowls, we can't give it to the defense, so quarterback gets it. Next up.
Man threw 21 for 29. Like, he had an outstanding Super Bowl. Like, he didn't have any brain-dead moments like he might have had for us in the past.
Yeah.
But, it's all good. Honestly, he played a great game.
He definitely did. The biggest thing was no turnovers, and I think he understood that, too, because he understood how good his defense is, so it's like, all right, I'm either going to throw this away or I'm probably going to take a sack, but he didn't really take that many sacks.
And I think when you play in New England for so long, the pressure you have, he probably couldn't even go anywhere without people telling him his stats, what they should do as players. Like, we are the worst fans, but we are avid fans because we actually care and love our teams, and everybody's like a freaking stat guy in this area. So I think him playing in this, when you leave, your attention to detail is way more heightened than people from other franchises, and you just hold yourself to a higher standard because you've been winning for so long.
Yeah, overall, just getting to 7 rings. 7 rings, that is a lot. Now, this is gonna, which is annoying and lazy, but this is gonna spark up that debate, like, Belichick's missing Brady, these CEOs are all Brady. People are gonna start that nonsense, but this is I think this is for him. It's probably the biggest kick rocks to all his critics who always try to delegitimize his Super Bowl because they always saying, he only won because of this. He only won because of this. Only because of defense. He only won because the Seahawks threw an interception or the Falcons started doing that. They're always trying to make it seem like he didn't do his part or stuff like that. But it was more so, this is so much showing everybody, listen, I does this.
And I think they wouldn't use that storyline if Belichick wasn't who he was. Yeah. Didn't act how he acted about certain things. So when things don't go his way, he's able to be picked on. He's more liable to be picked on because of the way he presents himself sometimes. Like if Popovich wasn't winning, he couldn't really act the way he acted and to be accepted as much. Because I love it though, but you got to be willing to act like that. Yeah, and too, like Peyton Manning did that. They didn't say nothing about Peyton Manning doing that. So it's just all about them playing. It's just all about the Patriots franchise.
It's all about the Pats and pretty much the face of it. But I think for him, I think somebody said on the radio, this was so much more so proving something to himself. Just him going down there. The football season was just a crazy season for everybody because, especially for guys going on new teams because they really couldn't get the offseason to know their teammates like a normal NFL offseason will go with as far as mini camps and offseason workouts and stuff like that. So it was pretty much, they had their little offseason workouts, but it was pretty much during the whole season they were learning, especially, you new receivers and stuff, because some quarterbacks, it takes a while for them to get in tune with the receivers and just for everybody to buy in.
True. And question, like, have you seen, I know ESPN been doing all type of Brady stats and all that, but you see when he had, like, Brady has the most Super Bowl rings in franchise history, and below him are the Pats and the Steelers. But it's like, bro, he had them with the Pats.
Yeah, he had 6
with the Pats. How can you even make that lame list? But I don't know. That list kind of bothered me because it's like,
yeah, I get it. It's like you take the Pats off because 6 of them was his.
Yeah, like
but everybody else,
he's number one. He's at one with the rest of it was just weird to me. Like
it's the narrative, but for Bill Belichick, I mean, okay, I really don't think people actually appreciate the job that Belichick actually did this season. For them to even go 7-9 with what they had, with what they had, like going 7-9, that is an accomplishment. Despite the quarterback not being that great, losing so many guys on defense, not having any type of skill players, any type of all-pro skill players.
You had your Hall of Fame tight end retire on you, and they come out retirement.
That too, and you don't have a tight end. I mean, been searching for a tight end since then. No offensive line. It's like, and for them to win 7 games, and they could have easily won 10 games if certain things didn't happen because they had opportunities to win so many games that just I
mean, they lost a lot of games by single digits, so
and they had the ball too.
Yeah,
so it's like they give him a quarterback, a capable quarterback, a competent quarterback. They'll probably win 9-10 games next season, depending on their schedule.
It's just easier. The world talks about like to be. I want to say nice about the term. Be nice to weaklings. You know what I mean? Be nice to weaklings, but they want to kick the strong ones when they're down.
Yeah.
So it's easier to kick Belichick down this one year because they know he'll be back soon.
Yeah, no, he'll probably be back next year because there's some quarterbacks out there.
Oh no, that's what I mean. Soon is next year. Like, ain't no couple years with us.
There's some quarterbacks that he could get that could actually do the job. But just for Brady now, it just puts him in. I think he might be the first player to go from one conference to another in football to win a Super Bowl, to lead a team to the Super Bowl. Because I can't think of many. Peyton Manning did it, but he did it within the conference. He was still in the AFC.
Yeah, I mean there aren't that many quarterbacks that win Super Bowls with 2 franchises alone. Yeah. So he's probably
So I mean, I think people keep trying to debate having these GOAT discussions, but it's proof is in the pudding. I mean,
Brady been the GOAT.
Apparently to some he's not. People still think he's still trying to think that some of the guys that he beat in the postseason who are better than him. But I'm just like, okay, y'all need to stop. Some people still think Aaron Rodgers is still better than him, and yeah, last thing about this Bucs defense, we will move on. The only quarterback that actually did well against them was the Washington quarterback. He's the only one that actually did well against the Bucs defense.
You think they even got up for that game? I'll be honest, man. Like sometimes I get it. They all go out there and perform. But I know some guys might have went out the night before. You know what? Yeah,
they might have. All right, so some other NFL news. So the Hall of Famers were announced over the weekend, and man, so Peyton Manning, Charles Woodson, Calvin Johnson, Drew Pearson, Alan Faneca, Bill Nunn, John Lynch, and Tom Flores. Peyton Manning and Charles Woodson been like connected at the hip since college. Cause you remember, they were like Woodson won the Heisman. Peyton Manning, I think, was the runner-up. Peyton Manning was number 1 overall pick. Woodson was right there after him, and they both had a pretty long. I mean, they both had a great career, and it's like Peyton Manning was a football prospect since he was a kid. He's a football prospect since he was a kid, and Charles Woodson is pretty much football. From high school, college, and pro. He's just been successful at it.
Charles Woodson, my favorite player. Yeah. Definitely one of my favorite players. Kudos to him. Yeah. When you said Peyton Manning was runner-up, I didn't remember who the runner-up was just because I was more worried about Woodson getting the Heisman. So, so with that being said, man, it's definitely a dope list, though. Yeah. Definitely having Clay Matthews on it, too. That's Big Clay, right?
Yeah.
Because, I think he started the franchise of the Matthews brothers and all that, too.
That might be That might be Clay's daddy. No,
Yeah.
you know who started it? I think their grandfather.
All right, well,
yeah,
kudos to the Matthews family for Big Clay getting
they're like
getting the votes.
Yeah, they're like a football family because I think their goes back even to their great grandfather. So this is like generations of Matthews that played in the NFL. What's interesting is Calvin Johnson got in on the first try as a first ballot, and I'm just like, no knock on him, but I'm just like, okay, but y'all gave T.O. y'all.
Man, I told you we live in a sensitive world now. Like they give outspoken people a hard time.
Yeah.
Megatron never said a word. He just got beat up in Detroit and put up numbers. So they I want to say they applaud and they award guys that just go through it.
Yeah, because it's like, bro, if he's getting in and he doesn't even have the type of accolades that T.O. had, and y'all made T.O. wait like 3 or 4 years, that just shows you how the voting and the biases in the voting is ridiculous. Like, everybody knows there was no reason for T.O. not to be first ballot, and they show it each time if another receiver comes down the line and gets first ballot. And,
T.O.'s probably one of them guys that when they see him at events and stuff, he just rubs it in your face because he still looks the same.
Yeah.
Like, he can still play. Like, he probably still could play.
Yeah, he probably still, and T.O. does. As you said, he does rub people the wrong way, too.
I would know, man. It takes more to know what, man.
And then another one was interesting. John Lynch. Some folks were like, okay, if John Lynch is in, why isn't Leroy Butler in? I'm like, And Leroy Butler, I think he invented the Lambeau Leap, too.
I don't know much about Leroy that much.
They have like the same type
I remember John Lynch though.
Yeah. And
that man's part of the reason why the league had to invent a lot of rules when it comes to targeting people and hitting people in certain areas.
Yeah. But kudos to John Lynch too. For him to get that, especially in the Super Bowls in Tampa, and Tampa is in the Super Bowl and wins it. It was just like it was pretty much a great weekend to be a Buccaneer.
Does he work for? Oh, he works for
the 49ers.
49ers. I knew he worked for somebody.
Yeah. So kudos to him. And then the other instance with Drew Pearson, he's been on that thing for years. And he's finally in. Alan Faneca, Bill Nunn, who did a lot for the Steelers, and he was instrumental to the
Leroy Butler is on it.
What up?
Leroy Butler is on the list.
No, I don't think he got in though. He didn't get in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because a lot of people were saying Leroy Butler and John Lynch are like they were pretty much the same. But NFL Hall of Fame voting is just interesting and all because they always whatever.
You think that's the second hottest voting system because baseball,
football
and basketball. For basketball, he just pull anybody. Rec leagues,
football
coming better.
Football, they just hold grudges. NFL, football, they definitely not football. I mean baseball.
Oh man,
those guys.
Baseball, grudges, personal opinions.
Yeah, it's like, man, get up out of here. All right, and there were some awards over the NFL weekend. Not surprising, Aaron Rodgers won the league MVP. I mean, who's surprised at that?
He was balling.
Yeah. What's this guy's name? Aaron Donald, won Defensive Player of the Year. This is the third time in a row he's won Defensive Player of the Year, and I think since he's been in the league, he's either finished first or second, or in the top 5. Indeed, that's just a different type of human.
He's a dog, man. He's a dog, and from what I hear, like his size doesn't complement his ability.
Yeah, he's like 5'10".
Yeah,
but he's
he's a physical specimen. He gets to it.
Very, very, very physical. And who else won? Derrick Henry was the Offensive Player of the Year. No surprise at all. You get 2,000 yards, you're definitely going to get that.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised by any of these votes, to be honest with you.
Chase Young, Defensive Player of the Year. So, I mean, none of it was a surprise.
And what's his name for the Chargers? Did he get Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Yes, he did.
So, he was balling. Herbert.
He got a bright future. The Chargers got a bright future. They had a chance for Brady to get Brady. But good thing they didn't, but they had a they had an opportunity. But
the Bucs were the perfect fit for him.
California.
I just mean player wise.
Yeah, I think they were a lot more because these guys, the Chargers, are very young. So it might have didn't get to the playoffs, but they're mature.
And then you don't know if they would have got Brown, Antonio Brown. You know what I mean? Certain plays, certain pieces.
All right, and then lastly, with this NFL news, I hear Carson Wentz is on the trading block, which is no surprise. They said the trade is going to happen at some point within the next week or so. No surprise. I mean, when you're unhappy and you just don't want to be there anymore, I mean, you don't want to be there anymore. And I don't think the Eagles want to pay him because I think he's owed $19 million in March for the signing bonus if he's still on the roster. It might be a little more, but I think it's around $19 million, and I don't think the Eagles want to do that. So now they're just looking for suitors. I'm like, hey, some of the teams that have been mentioned has been the Bears. They need a quarterback. I was like, hey, just get him out of there. He don't want to be there. Sometimes a change of scenery is always good for everybody.
Don't bring him here. If you notice, we haven't said anything about him coming to New England.
No, he's not coming here.
We don't want him here.
He's not coming
All
here.
right.
He might go to Indy. There's some teams that will definitely pick him up. He just, sometimes when you gotta go, you gotta go. It's just like when you're with a girl, you just know when it's over. Even if you try to work it out.
Nah, usually you stay around too long, just like he did.
He stayed around a year too long.
Yeah, it's like some of y'all do it right now, y'all relationship.
All right, let's go. Let's go to Craig. Craig gonna talk about the Super Bowl. Tend to know how to. Take it away, Craig.
What up, everybody, and welcome to No Huddle here on After the Whistle. It's your boy Craig here to give you the post-Super Bowl update. So as we all know, Tampa Bay and Tom Brady took the Super Bowl. It was a great game to watch. What was the best to me was that all the touchdowns scored, with an exception for the running touchdown by Leonard Fournette. All done by former Patriots, baby. 2 to Gronk, 1 to AB, all from Tom Brady. This was a beautiful game, man. I mean, let's not get it twisted. Kansas City lost and they didn't score a touchdown. A lot of people are coming down on Patrick Mahomes, but that boy was trying to ball out as best as he could. He made some throws that looked superhuman. I mean, he was getting tackled, going to the ground, and still launched a pass that not only made it to the end zone, but made it to his receiver. Just happened to get blocked by a defender. Same thing on the opposite side of the field, but he happened to just barely overthrow his defender. But the way he was going down to get it right into the corner of the end zone was pretty amazing to me. But like I told you, Todd Bowles, one of the best, if not the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, got beat by Kansas City already this year, figured out, made his adjustments, and sent that defense out ready, hungry, and with all the tools they needed to stop this amazing Kansas City offense. It was a sight to be seen. Tom Brady coming away with his 7th Super Bowl ring, playing amazing football. It was, like I said, I mean, it was just crazy. What was really funny, obviously everybody's having their Super Bowl parties. Like everybody else, I had one myself. Playing the squares, and that first almost field goal when it was 7 to 6, I believe, and chanting penalty, 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 and wouldn't you know it, the Kansas City Chiefs go offsides, canceling the kick, getting the first down, and Rob Gronkowski getting a screen pass to the left and scoring an awesome touchdown. I can't stress enough how beautiful this game was. Tom Brady saying that he's definitely coming back next year. So Tampa Bay is going to be stronger than ever. They got draft picks. They got moves to make. It's gonna be interesting to see how they do this upcoming season, and Kansas City as well. A lot of times people lose to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, production goes down. So I'm interested to see how Kansas City does next year. A lot of questions of the year about where quarterbacks are going to land. Deshaun Watson, Cam Newton, Tyrod Taylor, Carson Wentz. A lot of questions in the air. Ben Roethlisberger. A lot of questions in the air. One team I'm hearing for Carson Wentz is Indianapolis. I kind of like that fit. They need a quarterback. Jacoby Brissett, they don't trust him anymore. It's time to move on from him. And Phillip Rivers retired. Deshaun Watson looking like Miami, the Jets, but also the 49ers are being tossed around. I said it on After the Whistle last week that I really think that the team for him could be Dallas. I feel like he has all the weapons in offensive line that he could need, and now they get a quarterback. They can focus on the defense. That would be a remarkable move right there. He'd stay in Texas, but he would go to the better of the two franchises. I think that they could really make waves with Deshaun Watson. With that being said, if the Dallas Cowboys don't make a play for Deshaun Watson, they're a team that should be maybe looking at the likes of Carson Wentz, maybe even Cam Newton. Maybe Cam Newton would have better luck with more weapons in an offensive line. With that being said, that's all I have for you. Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady making his 7th Super Bowl victory. And with that being said, back to After the Whistle. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Craig, for that. And we are back. We're going to just quickly with some NBA stuff for y'all. Okay. Celtics got issues. They got some serious issues happening over there. Right now, they're just not a good basketball team. Right now.
They're not the worst.
They're not the worst, but they're just not good right now. Injuries, people in and out of lineups. It's just not a good stretch of basketball. They've dropped 2 in a row, and my man Kemba's struggling right now. He can't find his shot. It's like, I don't know if that knee injury is still affecting him, because it's like, man.
You be on Kemba's back.
Nah, he was struggling last night. I was like, man, he just had a good game a couple of days ago, too. I'm like, man, what happened? But
honestly, my synopsis, on their West Coast trip going 2-3, they're at their best when they're actually playing like a team. When they have 5 to 7 guys in double figures, meaning they're getting some production off the bench. That's when they're at their best, because when they don't,
which they, yeah.
You look at the W's, they got production.
No, I mean,
yeah, but I'm saying, so when they don't come to play as a team, they're not. Because honestly, Jaylen Brown and Tatum, they're not going to win you an NBA championship right now. They're just too young, and decisions they make with the ball aren't championship decisions. They'll help you win games, but they're not just game-winning decisions at times.
They don't have their biggest issues is they don't have size. That's their biggest issue right now is they don't have size. They get killed on the boards, and some of their bench.
They did out rebound some teams on there, so they're not the smallest team. They're not Golden State or things like that.
Yeah, they're not. But when they play guys like the Jazz and the Lakers and the Clippers, they got some. But they need to get healthy. I don't know. They need like a sensu beam or something.
They're also missing a key piece, which is Marcus Smart.
Yeah, these guys. They just
and people don't realize. Yes, he does some outrageous stuff on offense, but people don't realize how much his defensive just prowess and awareness affects the game. Because he would have helped. He would have helped them go at least, I want to say, 3-2.
Yeah, because some of those games they could have won. They could have won,
like 4-1, but. I'm just saying, this team right here, there's not like a Paul Pierce, KG, Ray Allen type team. They don't have that type of caliber right now because they're so young still. That's why they need to play like an actual complete team.
I think with them, the biggest thing they need a knockdown 3-point shooter. Somebody who's just, because these guys, Brown and Tatum, get to the cup, but sometimes when they dish, they can't, they got guys that can't hit the open shots. They just need one guy to come off the bench and do it. I mean, Carson Edwards, but He's here and there, and they need to get a vet.
But Carson Edwards and these other guys, they aren't just 3-point specialists. They're guys that can make shots. You need a 3-point specialist. Because I agree. I don't like Tatum taking 10 threes. No, Steph Curry, the most he makes in a logical game, not like him breaking records, is like 7 or 8. And that's unheard of in our reality, but it's only heard of from like him and Clay because they're outstanding 3-point shooters. Most guys make the most 4 or 5. Yeah. So you don't really need to make. You don't even take that many. You make 2 or 3, 4 game, you're all right. So these guys taking 10 threes, 8 threes a game is a little ridiculous.
They need to cut it down to like 4 or 5. That's it. But they need to make some moves and get a shooter, get a couple shooters, one or two on the low. But they're back on the court tomorrow, back at home. They got Toronto, and then they got Detroit before they go to Washington. Which is all 3 winnable games for them. So they just need to get themselves together.
And one last thing. It seems like to me like they only get up for teams that are like good or high caliber teams or teams that were high caliber like Warriors and the Clippers.
Yeah.
And everybody else is kind of just like, nah.
Yeah, they be sleepwalking and stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And also, did you see this last week? So KD wasn't playing, and then they took him out in the middle of the game because of contact tracing. But my thing is like, this is a few times they've done this to certain players, taking them out in the middle of the game and have them not return. And it's like, if this was a concern, if you had a thought that this might happen, then why'd you even let him play? Like,
talking about this contact tracing, this happens before the game, and then it just goes through like some little like.
It's just like this is just like leading up throughout the week or whatever. Because they said he was with somebody on the team staff, like going to the arena and home and stuff. Like he gave him a ride or something like that. That's what they traced it back to, and I think that person may have had symptoms and stuff. So I don't know. It's just weird. My thing is just like you're taking guys out in the middle of the game. There's a game going on, and now he's got to go. It's like the third quarter. He's got to be out of the game because these things that y'all doing. Like if that's the case, just don't even let him. But
that's what I'm trying to figure out. Do you not get the alert until like
they were taking the test, but they got the alert in the middle of the game. Like he had already taken all the tests and stuff like that, but it's weird.
Well, for one, for people out there, from what I heard, if you travel and things like that or feel like you're getting COVID, wait an extra day or two so you don't get a faulty test, because I heard sometimes you can test it too soon. That's why when I came back from Detroit, I waited a couple of days just to make sure if I did have it, it would be fine, which I don't have anything.
Yeah. That's that whole thing's weird because I would be so mad if I'm in the middle of a game now I can't finish this game because of like what.
This is getting a little ridiculous to a certain extent, but this is what makes the NBA the NBA because they're on top of things. So I guess it's give or take. You gotta take the good with the bad, and there's been less bad with the NBA and COVID. Yeah,
well, that's it for the NBA. We're gonna go to Athletes Corner with Sherard. Me and him have some stuff to discuss because he be on that stuff. We're gonna go to that, then we're gonna come back and call this thing a day apparently. Hello and welcome to another edition of Athletes Corner. All right, we got my man Sherard back with us. Last time he was here, we was talking social justice stuff, but we're going to step away from that and we're going to reflect on his athletic days because Sherard, he's always sending me about DMs talking about does this remind me of someone? But we're going to talk about his
or I'm responding to yours.
Yeah. Either or. We're gonna talk about his days at Malden, playing at Malden High, and his college hoops days too. But first, we're gonna get into the high school days. Playing at Malden High. I remember you told me when you got there your freshman year, you said the coach he didn't play freshmen. He didn't allow freshmen to be on varsity.
Yeah,
if I'm correct. And you had the talent to be on varsity, but that was just his. That was just his rule.
That's right.
Freshman. That is literally old school. Literally some old school stuff you'd hear from coaches like back in the 70s, 80s. No freshmen on varsity.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said. That was a rule, and so this was my freshman year, 2002, 2003, and so at that point in time, they didn't allow freshmen. So even if you had the talent. And even if you clearly had the talent, there wasn't any exceptions made for you. I felt good because I had a few of the folks who were on varsity saying, "Hey, look, I have a feeling you have a chance to make varsity this year. I don't know if you get much playing time, but you're good enough to at least make it." And then to be hit with this reality that this really isn't what we do. Yeah, I mean, it didn't hurt because I was only 14.
Yeah.
But it was, at least it was saddening, I think, to a degree. I had nothing else to shoot for in that way.
Yeah, but did you feel like, but you got the more minutes on JV, but did you feel like you're kind of being held back a little, being on JV, knowing that you could be with those guys on the varsity level?
Well, it's funny if you look at it two different ways to look at it. I got to give credit where credit's due. When so obviously freshman year, I didn't make varsity. Nobody did if you were a freshman. Really, even if you were a sophomore, but nobody did if you were a freshman. And so I was on freshman basketball, and this lanky kid out there, and people knew me. The way Malden worked is we had a series of middle schools. They used to have Malden Middle, and then they got rid of that. And then you had a series of middle schools for years at this point. And then everybody who went to these various middle schools went to one high school or a couple high schools, but really the one public high school. And that's where we went. And so, people knew you from your middle school, but not really from the other middle schools. So some folks knew I had talent. We played each other middle schools where we were. But the first practice happened when I made the team. I wasn't on the starting five. I was on the bench. And I was playing on the defensive side of the house. And I made a vow that day to never let that happen again. So I went super hard in that practice. And I reclaimed, or I should say I took a starting spot, which initially wasn't mine. Not many people know that from the very beginning, even folks on that team. And then to your current question, fast forward to sophomore year. And I remember JV tryouts were running concurrently with varsity tryouts, except we were on the other half of the gym. And by sophomore year, I was a completely different basketball player. Summer going into sophomore year, I very much transformed clearly into the guy you would come to know later on in your career. But sophomore year, summer going in, those signs started to show. So by the time JV trials hit, there was really only one conceivable place for me to be, but the coaches just weren't kind of having it. And I remember going through JV tryouts and coming down the lane, just dunking on people, stuff I wasn't doing the year before. I was notorious for the mid-range jump shot, foul line extended, up fakes, everything you needed to have in your toolbox to make varsity. Even at one point, someone went down on the varsity side of the house and needed someone to replace. Sherard, can you come down? I said, yeah, sure. And this guy came off court, went for the Wnba, yoink, and I went down full court, another flush. So I was putting the work in, but it just didn't happen. So yeah, it was absolutely frustrating knowing that I had the talent to be there, definitely that year at 15, and it still wasn't an opportunity for me.
And by junior year, that's when you're fully on there, getting more minutes. What did you learn from those first 2 years that you were able to have it translate into varsity your junior and senior year?
Yeah, I had the chance to go up in sophomore year, so I actually went up. I went up sophomore year first. They kind of broke that mold for me, and I remember it was a day where me and a couple of my guys played in another camp as well, and the camp coach was coming to watch us. We were some of his best athletes, and the game he came to was a JV game, except I wasn't playing that day. I moved up to varsity. And my first ever varsity game, I had 6.7 blocks against Everett, which was one of those powerhouses in the area. And they gave me the choice, Sherard, do you want to stay up here on varsity, or do you want to head back down to JV? And I was torn because I wasn't sure. And ultimately it came down to, my coach essentially asking me, we have a chance here to build and to move into next year as a unit. Without missing a beat, we're going to have a record-breaking year for JV this year, and you can be with us, or you can go to varsity and maybe contribute off the bench, but you're not going to be able to grow and develop as much as you would if you stayed here in terms of the system. And so I chose to go back down to JV. We had a 17-win, 3-loss record that year. And for what it's worth, broke some records. People started coming out to the games that never came out to varsity. It was pretty cool to see that dynamic happen. So JV taught me a lot in terms of being comfortable with my game. And going into junior year, which was far and away probably the worst basketball year I had in high school, not just personally, but at the team level. I felt good going into junior year. I was ready for varsity for the last 2 years at this point. I think the challenge there was the seniors just weren't ready to pass that mantle. And for them, it was, you're my guy, Sherard, but, this is still my team. And I think that we spent that year trying to figure out who should lead the team and who shouldn't. And it kind of showed that miscommunication.
I find that always interesting that certain, the politics of basketball like that because certain guys that's been on that level for a while, they don't want to give up the mantle or they don't want to share it, understanding like this is a team thing. We need each other, but they're still trying to get theirs. They're still trying to get, if they're not heavily recruited, they're still trying to create highlights and make some noise so they could get recruited by somebody no matter what level. So that's kind of the odd thing about the politics of basketball is because on one hand you want to have the team success, but then the other hand certain guys that want to play on the college level, they just want to get their points and get their stuff up.
These guys were all football players, which made it worse. They didn't have any interest in going college basketball. I did, but they didn't, so that made it more difficult.
And now we come to your senior year. We're gonna get to one of the games that we always talk about this year. Your last year playing in Malden. You talked about the Everett rivalry. You guys also have that rivalry with Somerville as well. That area. Your senior year, you also at this point were you getting heavily recruited, or were the recruiting letters coming in at this point?
Oh yeah. Going into senior year, I got offered to participate in a top 100 players camp on the East Coast, not national, top 100 on the East Coast players camp. You got to remember, I'm the same year as Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, folks like this. And so I'm at this camp, and this was my first time getting grandiose exposure. I had played AAU beforehand, but I never really got a chance to travel. I didn't come up from money. I used to go to practices in camps overnight with the trash bag over my shoulder and sort of the white T-shirt and wearing what I had. Yeah. This is my first time at a grandiose camp with kind of exposure, and you get to see, the 6'9" shooting guard. I'm over here 6'4.5" playing power forward and trying to figure out my life. So when I made this opportunity to hit senior year, I went to this top 100 camp, and that opened my eyes to a different kind of game. And you had to wear the school that was recruiting you. And for me, it was UMass Amherst at that time. Mm-hmm. And then as senior year went on, I know you're going to have other questions. I was getting looked at. I was a top 10 player in the state, and I was also a McDonald's All-American nominee at that point.
Some big stuff right there. And you also were involved in some other camps as well, where you played with some other guys that went on to play at high level. Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah. I mean, I had a great run. Again, just having that opportunity to go to that camp, and then other possibilities. There were other local camps like Hoop Mountain, something I kind of frequented a lot. I played AAU on the Middlesex Magic for a little bit with Corey Lowe, who wound up going to Boston University, and Providence, I think, is where he initially went or was going. Mm-hmm. I didn't play on AAU with Anthony Gurley, but he and I were connected for a while early on coming out of high school. There's a few of the folks that my guy Mike Palladino way back, Deshaun Givens. I mean, there's a few folks who were at least locally known, and I played in the Bay State games, where there were a lot of competitive forces at play in that particular atmosphere, and it was a nice opportunity to really cut my teeth and begin forming my senior year the way I wanted it to. So, moving away from a specific focus in terms of the competition I'm used to playing, and then getting a chance to break out really, really aided my senior year for sure.
And we are back. All right, let's go around the world of sports. Our first WNBA, Renee Montgomery, is retiring from the WNBA after 11 years. She's a two-time champion with the Lynx, 6 Women of the Year. Kudos to her on a stellar career.
UConn, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she's a nice little point guard. She was all right.
Candace Parker, she's going home, returning to home. She signed with Chicago last week. She's excited about that, going home.
Yeah, I've been seeing that. Yeah. I like how they gain more publicity, how they put her on the staff with was it TNT, right?
Yeah.
Or whichever one it is. I just like seeing, some women being able to have a voice.
And it's cool for her. Like, this is pretty much the later part of her career, so it's cool that she potentially gets to retire home.
A lot of women got traded and moved around. Yeah. Like some high-profile names in the league. Yeah.
Tina Charles, she signed with the Mystics. She missed all of 2020, I believe, with COVID. She was a 2012 league MVP, so she's back, another UConn player. Shout out to her. Also, some other women's basketball NCAA women. UConn defeated number 1 South Carolina the other night, and this girl Paige I can't pronounce her name.
Well,
Paige.
on this Instagram, they call her Paige Buckets.
Paige Buckets. Paige Buckets had 31 points, and she scored the final 13 points of the game.
She's a killer.
She was in there giving them girls buckets.
She's a killer.
Yeah, I've seen. I've seen. And you know what's cool about this? So many people watched this game because they were actually promoting. You know how they don't promote the women's game that much, but they were promoting the heck out of this game, and a lot of people watched this game, and people like seeing people get buckets, and Paige gets buckets.
Yeah, she do.
And I believe UConn right now, UConn's number 2 now. UConn women's they're number 2 now.
Okay.
So, all right. NCAA. So UNC, they had to postpone their match with Miami on Monday because players were partying after their victory against Duke, and this is like the worst time to be a college student because
it really is.
This is all they
like
do.
Regular stuff.
Yeah, this is pretty much what they do after, especially after you beat your rival. This is
bro. You know the quote, man. Win or lose, we still booze.
So they had to postpone the game, and because to a couple players were in there maskless partying, but I mean these are college students, so this is
And I get it. Like you want them to be like close. You do not want them to be in close confinements, but like they gotta take their mask off. You gotta know who you're dealing with,
especially after they beat Duke.
Especially after you've been drinking.
And that too. So, kid, hey man, so they'll probably get back on the court next week or so. All right, Kentucky. This was a crazy game last night. They fell to Arkansas 81-80. They turned the ball over last possession after they had to hit a 3 to take the lead, and then they got called for a questionable, and I mean questionable foul call got called against them down the stretch. It was all ball, but they called a foul, and
Hey. They gave Calipari that same treatment they gave my man down New England.
Yeah.
They kicking him while he's down.
Pretty much. All right, they're now 5-13 on the season and 4-7 in conference play. Also, Duke, they dropped their third straight game, losing to Notre Dame 93-89. They're now 5-6 and 7-8 on the season. Man, the Blue Bloods is kind of having it's a sorry year for the Blue Bloods. Even Kansas isn't in the top 25 right now. All the Blue Bloods aren't ranked, so. Ooh, it's tough, yeah. NHL Bruins take on the Rangers tonight. Their past 2 games was postponed. NBA Mark Cuban and the Mavericks are doing away with the national anthem before the games. They made that announcement. I think that announcement came out some point yesterday.
You know what, Mark Cuban, man? You come to the cookout. You come to the cookout.
Hey, I've heard, when I played football in high school, I've heard like when I was a freshman and some of the varsity players and the national anthem came on, they pretty much just like, I can't wait for this thing to get over. Because people literally just want to play.
You know how I feel about it. It messes your mood up. You did all these warm-ups. Now you got to go to the bench and wait. And listen, you should do that before you do the warm-ups or something. Like, just get rid of it.
They should just do it during really more serious stuff, like inaugurations, with the military.
Stuff that involves the whole United States that's televised on like 15 channels that you want to watch something else on. Yeah, that type of stuff. All
right, the next trade, Dennis Smith Jr. for Derrick Rose. Tom Thibodeau loves Derrick Rose. He loved Derrick Rose.
The world loves Derrick Rose, man. He's a high pinnacle citizen.
Yeah, so he'll definitely help the Knicks out because they're not too bad this season. They are not too bad.
Did I use the right word? No, whatever.
Yeah. Carmelo, he passed Oscar Robertson for 12th on the all-time scoring list. So shout out to Carmelo. Giannis and De'Aaron Fox were the East and West Players of the Week. So
that's dope, man. That's dope.
Kudos to them. Marty Schottenheimer in the NFL. He passed away. He was battling Alzheimer's. He passed away yesterday.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was yesterday. He passed away. He coached the Browns, Chiefs, Chargers, and Washington. He's the last successful coach for the Browns. Got them to 2 AFC title games. Then you know what happened? The drive. John Elway. Then the following year, the fumble at the 1 yard line.
Oh yeah, and his name has been used in various rap lyrics throughout the years.
Yeah. Namely by Eminem, he's used him.
Yes. That's why I came to mind.
Yeah. All right, Australian Open. Serena Williams, Naomi Osaka, they move into round number 3 after pretty much dominating their opponents. Coco Gauff, she's got a second round matchup tomorrow with Alina Svitolina.
Got some flavor.
Some
flavor all sprinkled in there.
She's from Sweden, so good luck to those great women out there in the Australian Open. And what we got now, we're going to go to Super Bowl top 10, and we're going to come back, wrap this thing up. We might be giving y'all some Valentine's Day advice. I don't know. We're going to come back real quick. All right, and we are back here. All right, Sunday's Valentine's Day. You got any quick advice for the people?
I mean, I'll be spending Valentine's Day with my daughter. I might take her out to eat some maybe hibachi or just something simple.
Cool.
You know, if you take your women out dancing, hit her with the dude love.
Hey fellas, make sure. Hey fellas, know y'all worth. Don't let these girls just try to not give you anything, or try to do that nonsense they pull every year. Know your worth. Make sure they get you something nice, something you'll enjoy.
Dude love.
And also, happy birthday to my nephew. Well, Sunday's my nephew's birthday, so we're gonna wish him a happy birthday. He turning 12. That boy getting big, and yeah, so. Fellas, know your worth on Valentine's Day. Don't. He knows what I'm talking about. We just can't say it on.
And ladies, hey, y'all want to take me out? Just hit me up.
Yeah, for real.
I'll be around.
Hey, if you got a crush on me, my DMs are open. My emails are open too. Just let me know. I'll pay half. No, I won't. Follow him, Mr. Burton 23 on Instagram, Mukala on Instagram, LCTV, Facebook page. LynnTV.org, the website, YouTube channel, all that good stuff. We're out of here. Everybody be safe and masks up. Make sure to visit. If you're trying to take a vaccine, go to the vaccine clinic at Lynn Tech Fieldhouse if you are interested in getting a COVID vaccine. So we are out of here. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.